What's up, guys? It's Dr. Steve, master of the subconscious mind and doctor who fixes 100% of orthopedic issues not related to cancer, fracture, or infection. And I want to go over the nitric oxide pathway. Everybody thinks that nitric oxide just deals with vasodilation and blood flow, and there's so much more to it because we have eNOS, we have iNOS. It's the iNOS overstimulation that can blunt the eNOS enzyme pathway, to cause those blood vessels not to dilate, and actually they constrict, right? And so there's lots of factors that can affect the iNOS pathway and create overstimulation, because nitric oxide also helps combat against pathogens like, your bacteria, viruses, funguses, and parasites, right? So there's a lot of other uses for this nitric oxide cycle, and so a lot of people want to take arginine to increase that nitric oxide cycle, or beetroot. And while there is benefits to doing that, there's much more to the picture that could be suppressing that eNOS pathway, which is that iNOS enzyme pathway overstimulation. So iNOS overstimulation can come from EMFs, it can come from BPAs, plastics, it can come from mercury, aluminum, high fructose corn syrup, even overstimulates the iNOS pathway, and that will create that blood vessel constriction. And so our nitric oxide pathway helps with the infection. And let's get this straight. If you don't have enough nitric oxide, it also affects that ACE enzyme pathway, where it allows a virus to enter into a host, and so affects that, makes you more susceptible to a viral infection, right? So nitric oxide is also protective into that cell wall to protect the immune system. And here's the other thing too that you have to remember with this nitric oxide stuff, right? It also, nitric oxide cycle also deals with sleep, right? And histamine levels. Histamine's another problem with it. But with our sleep cycles, we go through this enzyme pathway where your body's going to steal beta-hydroxyapatite to make more nitric oxide, which will affect your sleep. So if you have an infection, you don't sleep oftentimes as well, right? And you don't sleep as well because it's trying to make more nitric oxide, so you're not making the serotonin, right? There's an enzyme pathway that goes down where the beta-hydroxyapatite ends up converting into serotonin that converts to melatonin that helps you sleep. So, when you're sick, oftentimes we don't sleep as well because we have an increased need to make more nitric oxide to help fight infection. So there's an increased need for the antioxidant like superoxide dismutase, or there's a need to take extra citrulline there, right? That amino acid to help make more of the beta-hydroxyapatite to help us sleep. So there's a lot of different factors that go on with the nitric oxide cycle. It's not so cut and dry, and that's why you can't just go on Google and look at what's going on. We have to look at our individual genetic SNPs, single nucleotide polymorphisms, these mutations that happen with our enzyme pathways, and find out if we are over-methylating, which is going too quickly through these enzyme pathways, or under-methylating. It's not just simple, give somebody an antioxidant, give somebody a supplement, and that's going to work for them, because we're all genetically unique, right? Last thing in the world you ever want to do is give someone a supplement like a probiotic because you think that's what's good for them, and increase their histamine levels, because that histamine level is going to signal zonulin, open up that interstitial space between the cells in the gut, and actually cause autoimmune disease in people. So we want to do the right thing and do what's right for each individual, depending on what is going on with their symptoms and what actual gene mutations that they have that are expressed. And that's what we use the genetic report from 23andMe for.